Hey everyone, I'm back. I was going to do this last night, but we kept having thunder and lightning from a storm that wasn't here, but it wasn't far away from us. And then the other day, the power went out because of another storm. I'm like, well, not out, but more like flickering on and then off. And I'm like, why not? I'm just going to go to bed. So, with that being said, I am back, and without for any other further introduction, let's begin. Skagway and Niue are two important entry points into the interior of Canada because of their location and the end of the island inside passage. When the first gold prospectors arrived at the end of the Lynn Canal in 1897, they had to make a decision. They could choose the 45-mile White Patch Trail on out on Skagway, or the 33-mile Circuit Trail out of DA. The two trails end at the source of Lake Bennett in the Yucatan Territory at the headwaters of the Yucatan River. Both trails are ice-free and low in elevation, making them the most practical way to cross over to the coastal mountains into the interior of Canada. The White Patch Trail lacked the steep slopes of the Secute Trail, but it was 10 miles longer and had its own obstacles. The trail became clogged with mud during a wet fall months of 1897, making it impassable at some spots. Captain William Moore and his sons Billy and Ben were the first Euro-Americans settlers to make Skagway Bay their home. 10 years before the Klondike gold rush, the Moore family claimed a 160-acre homestead in the valley that they call Mooresville. Although the Tlingit people had lived in the southeast Alaska for more than 1,000 years, they lived in Skagway only seasonally. The Moors were the first settlers and they intended to make Skagway their year-round home. For the next 8 summers, they lived in Skagway and built a small cabin, small mill, and a wharf in application of the next big gold rush. No one knew if and when the gold strike would happen, but the Moors would be ready for it in Mooresville. When the gold was discovered near the Klondike in August of 1896, it took several months before news of the North got out and the rest of the world. Captain William Moore and native guide Keats Jim Manson traveled through, and before I continue, if I pronounce any Native American names wrong, I apologize. I haven't really been able to pronounce any Native names except for Pocahontas, but I'm gonna sign up now. Halfway through the coastal mountains, taking an alternative route to the Secute Trail. The mountain trail established would become the White Pass, named after Sir Thomas White, the Canadian Minister of Interior. Gold strikes in the interior caused growing interest in the trail and marketed Skagway as gateway for prospectors to make their way over the mountains and on the gold fields. With help from English civil engineer Ernest Edward Willington, that is a very long name, The Moors were able to start work on the White Pass and Sawmill. On July 27th, 1897, I was gonna freak out, but luckily today is not the 27th. That'd be really weird. The first steamship landed in Skagway Bay, bringing with it eager gold seekers. Overnight, the muddy little tent city turned into the largest city in Alaska. The start of the gold rush led Moore Homestead to be overrun with claim jumpers. Their 160-acre homestead was shrunk down to 43 acres. By August of 1897, newcomers to Skagway organized a local government named the town Skagway for the Tilin word Skagway. I know I'm probably butchering that name, and I'm so sorry for anyone with native background. Rather than Mooresville, in November of the newly established U.S. Post Office recognized the new spelling Skagway as the official town name. And as the Moors' wealth and family size grew within the booming town of Skagway, they built a larger home to accommodate their family needs. My air just turned off for a while, like normal, when it creeped the heck out of me because it gotten so quiet. That is creepy. And if you hear snoring, it's my dog. He's over there. But how it's just gotten deadly quiet. Creepy. But I love it. Why did I watch Nightmare on Elm Street today? Today, the Moore House and the original cabin are museum buildings that have been preserved and restored by the National Park Service. Visitors can walk through and learn about the Moore family and immense life in Skagway in the early 1900s. I keep seeing inside in the corner of my eye. Please tell me if they're bugs, dirt, or I'm just seeing my makeup. Now I don't feel like I'm alone. This is creepy. If only I can get my camera to work. And if only I can film different angles while I'm filming here. I don't know how to do that yet. Can somebody comment in the comments below to let me know how to aim at different cameras as I'm filming here. At different cameras in different parts of the house while I'm doing it. I swear. This is the first time in a while. I know a lot of my videos have me like really distracted, and I'm sorry, but aside from my dog snoring, if you can hear that, you can easily hear how creepily quiet it got. But let's continue. When the trail was opened by Captain William Moore, it was designed for lightly loaded horses, experienced horsemen. It was not designed for hoarders of gold seekers who were bombarding the trail. Within a year of the discovery of the gold in the Klondike, thousands of people had attempted to cross the trail. Animals were brought up the Skagway on the same steamship that carried the people and freight. conditions were very harsh for everyone. Some animals were forced to stand for 2 weeks straight and did not get the luxury of food and water. If they did not die on their way to the Skagway, they were killed in accidents, shipwrecks, or on their way to or on the trail. Horses, mules, oxen, sheep, and dogs were loaded down, forced to wait a long time, and exhausted by the trail leading over the pass. It was not uncommon for the trail to be blocked by fallen horses. There were often long periods of waiting in line on the trails. Stampeders refused to unload their horses that were weighed down with hundreds of guns as to not waste time reloading them. And this was actually said by one of the men. I must admit that I was as brutal as the rest, but we were all mad for gold, and we did the things that we lived to regret. And that was by Jack Newman. Hacker of the White Pack Trail, California, 1897. At the time of the trail became impassable due to harsh weather conditions, rain and mud. Many stampeders retreated, leaving their outfits strewn along 40 miles of trail. Horses were not equipped to the constant physical demands, boggy mud holes, and slippery rocks. No one knows exactly the amount of animals that took the two trails, but it's the estimate that 3,000 horses died in a year period on the White Pack Trail, earning the nickname Dead Horse Trail. It was a brutal journey for men and beasts alike. And now that I'm reading things for Alaska, which there are very many themes because of how old Alaska is and cold, but I'm kind of tempted to at least go to this trail and see what it looked like. I'm not going to travel it because I cannot walk 40 miles or 160. I can't. I mean, I want to, but I really can't. But that would be really kind of creepy. And actually, on an old picture of when I was in Gettysburg, not last year, but a few years before that, I'm in every year except this year, in 2020. But I believe I caught a spirit of a horse on the Skagway Bridge or behind it. It literally had the pointy ears of a horse and the long face. I'm like, is that a freaking horse? And it's not uncommon for the Skagway Bridge to have horses caught or sounded or heard on the bridge, because it was there even before the Civil War. But back to Alaska. Many people who have came to Skagway recognize the ample opportunities that the gold rush provided. A growing population created opportunities for the entrepreneurs to set up businesses in Skagway. The entrepreneurs with ingenuity, capital, and light luck could make a living off the gold rush. George Brackett was one such man. He was a former mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota, who, and if you hear anything outside, that's probably thunder, because I think I just heard that. Who lost the fortune during the Panic of 1893, convinced that the White Patch was the best route for the Goldfields Wars, Brackett and 7 sons started building a wagon road over the White Patch Trail. Brackett sank 185,000, 5.5 million in 2018 of his own money into his wagon road and charged holes along the way, rebuilding his fortune. He used 400 pounds of dynamite and black blasting powder to clear the way for road, and he charged the miners 775 cents per pound to cross. Brackett would promote the use of his wagon road at every opportunity and advised it as the only practical wagon road in Alaska. I can't tell if that's thunder or wind. Probably wind. As the fall of 1897 turned into the winter of 1898, stampeders continued to pour through Skagway and up the trail, with only a few short summer months when the lakes and rivers were not frozen. It became almost impossible to bring goods to the Yukon. One man, Michael James Henry, believed that there was a better way to getting goods over the pass rather than taking the wagon road. After witnessing 800,000, 24 million in 2018, Cold Night Gold in Seattle on July 17th, 1897. Henry bought a ticket to Alaska. Henry was a Canadian railway contractor, and if you're wondering why, then you're probably really young, but if you're probably wondering why Alaska and Canada are easy to get to, look at the map and you can see Alaska is literally connected to Canada. Probably my map view, but still. And I still wonder how we got Alaska to be one of our states. I mean, my mom tells me every time why when I ask, but still doesn't make any sense if you test my drift, I guess. The early fascination of railroads, building and design, didn't shy him away from the challenge of dreaming up a railroad that went over the mountain pass. Construction would have its challenges, but was successful. A chance to encounter at the St. James Hotel in Skagway led Henry to meet Ernesta P. Hawkins from Seattle, a British engineer, Sir Thomas Transane. These two men were representing a group of British financiers, the Close brothers, who wanted the finance endeavor. Construction of the narrow gauge, White Patch and York Railroad began on May 27, 1898. I cannot read. Down the center of Broadway in Skagway, George Brackett knew all too well that the hardships of building a railroad through steep mountain climbs and zigzagging rivers. He believed his whole road to the train that was probably thunder. Extreme weather conditions on the Skagway would be difficult. The challenge of coordinating a railroad across an international boundaries was not an easy task. The men in charge knew that the stampeders were not patient and wanted to finish the railway as soon as possible. The railroad was looking for the men in capabilities to work on the line. Gold seekers did not make the most reliable workers. High labor turnover rates estimated at 35,000 people working on the railroad in the 2 year span of construction. There were 2,700 people working at any given time at the cost of 100,000, and in 2018 that would be 3 million per mile to construct. Thousands of people were working together to finish the 110-mile track at the way to Whitehorse, Yukon Territory, Canada. After facing many challenges to get the job done, the group decided to dedicated people to finish the railway in 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days on July 29th, the year 1900. What today looks like a pristine valley 12 miles up the South Carolina Highway was actually the site of the city turning the gold rush. It was the last major spawning point before the exit summit of the White Pass. The valley provided one of the first sections of trail where the stampeders could spread out in pitch a tent before heading up the Dan Horse loops. The town existed for a total of 2 years. It consisted of mostly of tents and often 17 saloons. One for each building. The hotel on Skagway Valley, called White Pass Hotel, can sleep up to 50 men at a rate of one per night. Many stampeders were glad to pay the fee as to not sleep outside for a night. White Pass was also chosen as a new construction crew quarters for the railway workers when the train reached the summit in February of 1899. The city was deserted almost as quickly as it was created in 1897. During the cold night run, Skagway was a rough and violent place where gold was more valuable than human life. Bullets could zing through the air at any time of day or night. Suicide was rampant among the many failed gold seekers who couldn't return home and face their loved ones. Diseases like scurvy took the lives of many and succumbed to exposure from the horrible freezing winds from the north. It is well known that when someone dies in this tragic way, the spirits are trapped between this world and the next. Even as spirits, they cling to their mortal coil and some contact with the living when they least expect it. Back during the gold rush, a woman named Mary was staying at the Golden North Hotel with her husband, deported for the Klondike. She said that she would wait until he returned the following spring. And she waited and she did. When he did not return, she started to worry. Eventually, the worry took root in her bones and developed tuberculosis and died a miserable death. Just before she took her last breath, Mary managed to pull herself from her bed and crawled to the second-story window, gazing out toward the north from her long-lost husband until she finally collapsed. The next day, her husband showed up with another woman. Mary's ghost became resentful and angry. Many have seen her specter gazing out the golden north window, shaking her fist at her no-good-seeming husband. Housekeepers at the hotel claim that she likes to haunt the rooms of married couples, where when she put the toilet seat up all the way up so the husbands get the blame, Skagway is full of ghosts and their stories. Some say the Eagle's Lodge is haunted by an evil spirit that makes random noises for no reason. There are other there are those who believe that the morgue cabin is haunted by an evil gnome with long black hair. Still, others say that the grocery store is haunted by a terrible demon that possesses the avocado. When I heard of that and read that, I tried really hard not to laugh. Really hard. With mine, they seem right, but when you cut into them, they are black and disgusting. The dead horse cat, aka the white cats. I want to see Alaska, and not just for the beautiful viewing or the non-haunted history, but also for the haunted history. Come on, you know me. Um, but the whole avocado thing, yes, I have heard that fruit and vegetables do go bad quickly when there's an evil. Y'all saw that, right? When there's an evil or demonic spirits around, but at the store? Do I believe that? I really don't know. And I tried really hard not to laugh when I read that, but I desperately failed. Or epically failed, whatever you want to say. But, I miss fruit can be haunted too. You never know, I met in this world today. Anyway, thank you guys for watching my channel and videos. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I am Haunted Girl, and this is my channel. The paranormal is their playground. My playground. And I'll spook you later. Until next time, pleasant dreams.